Fine. So quickly, I'll recap like what are all topics we discussed yesterday, and then we'll start with today's session. So yesterday we started with a functional testing part, like a manual testing, and we discussed few topics. So if I'll go through the initial points, like we discussed what is software, how we can maintain the quality, and quality depends on which aspect, and what is error, bugs, and failure. And after that, we discussed like what might be the issue, what kind of issues we can face in the software, and why the issues arise, what are all the challenges we face during the development of the software, and what process we follow to develop the software, like SDLC model we basically used to follow. And inside that, like we learned what is waterfall and agile model. Then we learned like what is QA and QC, and how it differs with each other. Then different types of testing also we started, and there we I think covered the functional testing, that means the unit testing and integration testing. So we'll start from there, like we'll go and check like other types of testing, and then we'll anyone is telling something. Okay, fine. And today's class will be discussing like types of testing, and then we'll check other points which is mentioned already here. So without further delay, we'll start the session. Before that, is there any means have you guys gone through the yesterday recording, and do you guys have any kind of like queries or questions which you want to ask here?
I don't.
I don't.
Yes. Okay, Vinita, for you. Okay, then I'm assuming like no one have any question, and we'll start with today's session. So integration testing, we discuss like what is integration testing, and how we can say like we are doing the integration testing. So it basically depends like if we have a more than one module developed, and if there is a dependency and data transfer is happening, proper communication is happening between two modules, then we say like we are doing the integration testing. And it also depends like if the functional testing is done, functional in the sense the unit testing for a module is done, and if we say like the total number of bug counts are very less in terms of like minor bugs, and there is no any critical and blocker bugs, then only we can go and start integration testing. Until we'll not touch the integration part, because if the module is only not stable which we are going to test, it is means it's a waste of time to pick the integration testing part and start it, right? And what exactly this blocker and critical major minor kind of bugs we'll discuss and in today's session. And next topic is like system testing. It is also the part of the testing only, like types of testing which we discussed yesterday. I think Tori was not there, so we discussed this part like what are all testing types of testing we do in our day-to-day life as a tester. So here we discuss like these testing like types. So if you have this, I think you are also the part of that mail where we shared this PPT. So you can go through, and if you will have any doubt, we can discuss in further sessions also. So system testing is basically performed when we have a more than two modules, like you can say like end-to-end kind of testing. So yesterday I have taken the example of Gmail application. So in the Gmail application, I said like we have a feature like compose, and inside the compose we can write the mail and we can attach some attachment also. So software, in terms of software, Gmail is a software, and if we'll say like component, attachment is a component. If I'll say what is module, compose is a module. So it's a hierarchy: first software, then after module, then after component, means Gmail application, then compose, and then attachment. Okay, so if we want to do the system testing, the entire Gmail application should be created. That means if you want to go from the flow wise, like you will launch the app. Okay, after that you will be inserting your username password, then you will be land on the home page. There you will, if you want to communicate with someone, you have to click on the compose, you have to write the subject, and you have to add the people into our BB section, and after, sorry, BC section, and after that you have to write the message body inside, and then you have, if you want to attach something, you have to attach, and then you will send it. After sending the message, you can go and check in the sandbox also, like if the message is sent to that person or not. And if you have the access for that user also, suppose you are testing between your two accounts, so other account also you can again log in and check whether that message is received properly or not. So this is the end-to-end testing where you are testing the entire one scenario. Okay, and that type of testing is nothing but the system testing, where you are testing not only the component, not only the modules, but the entire flow, one entire flow. Okay, and for this system testing, it is very important. We have already covered the functional testing and integration testing, because without that system testing, there will be no any meaning. So if we have a very less number of minor bugs and no blocker and critical bugs, then only we can go for the system testing. Why I'm saying the few minor bugs is like acceptable, and because minor bugs is not that kind of bug which is mainly impacting our functionality of the application. So criticality is very less. Like suppose some, in the terms and condition, every application will have a terms and condition. If there, suppose we have missed a small thing, like the some spelling mistakes are there, so we can easily avoid it, right? We can fix it in the next release also. Why? Because this is not going to impact our end users, because there will be very less number of people who will be opening this terms and condition and each and every line gonna read, right? So very rare people will do, and that too will not impact our application much. So that kind of things we can ignore, and that's why like smaller kind of the minor bugs we can consider, and we can start our system testing. Okay, now next testing is acceptance testing. So we have completed the functional testing, that means the unit testing. We have already completed our integration testing and then system testing. That means now the end-to-end testing is done, and now we are gonna deliver this product or software to the end user, or better to say to the client. Okay, so before handing over it to client, we need to ensure like we have fixed all kind of bugs which was raised by the tester, and there is no minor bugs also, no major, no critical bugs. Everything is working smoothly, then only we can hand it over to the customer. Okay, acceptance in the terms, like when client is checking the application and saying like, okay, whatever requirement I have given, the development has happened as such, like the same kind of development is there, and whatever expectation I set, all kind of expectation I'm meeting from this software, then only the client is gonna take this application and use it. So that kind of testing, like one round of testing which is confirmed by the client before accepting this developed software, is known as the acceptance testing. So before that, like in our team, we need to perform some kind of the high level testing, or better to say we have to perform the kind of the sanity checks, like all the things are covered or not. So alpha, beta, and the user acceptance testing is the different steps. So alpha testing is mainly like what we do entire testing procedures from the beginning, like functional integration, and after that like regression testing also be performed in between, and exploratory testing also. This kind of testing we do during our software development phase. Combinedly we like know as a alpha testing. Alpha testing is nothing but the combination of all these kind of testing to ensure like our development was correct. Second is the beta testing. Beta testing, like yesterday I have given one example like product and service based company, right? So product based company actually basically do this kind of testing much, because the end user is not a client here, because service based company will have a client, like Infosys is a company, and suppose Infosys have a different clients for whom they are creating the product and handing over. So they have the client who can ensure at the end like what development has happened and how the functionality of the software is working. But in case of product based, we don't have a client, right? We have a end users who gonna use the application and say like whether it's working perfectly or not, or they can give the feedback also. So that kind of testing which end user is doing, that is the beta testing. So beta testing in the sense like beta version of the application will be available on the Play Store. You can go and download it. That will also for the limited people, so they can go and download it and start using it and give the feedback. This is the initial phase of the testing, where initial phase of the development, where the company wants to take the review from the users, and user can say like, okay, this like app is working as expected, and giving the rating and feedback. Based on that, product based company will get to know like, okay, people liking this product very much, and now we can release it. And finally the main release or the production release will happen. Okay, so internally also in service based company, if you want to give the name of beta testing, you can provide. And what happens here, like peer testing used to happen. Like suppose we have a 10 members of team who has developed the product, and now the product is ready. Before handing over to the client, we want to test it again. But all the 10 members who has already developed this project definitely will not have that much interest to again test entire feature. So they might say like, okay, we have only created, so definitely there will be less bug, and they can do it like in the relax mode, right? So what if you will hand it over to the next 10 or 15% in your team only, in your organization only, and say like, hey, this is the project which I developed. Can you please test it and say like what are all things are missing here, and uh, give the requirement. Like you can give the requirement to the next 10% and say like, this is the requirement of the project, this is the main functionality which we are expecting. Can you test it and say like whether it is working as expected or not? So they will start acting like a end user. They will be start testing of that application like end user, and they can give you the feedback, genuine feedback. Okay, this functionality is correct or good, this one should not be in that way. So the feedback you are getting from other team members in your organization will act as a feedback or output of the end user, and then you will be enhancing the same features if that is valid, and enhancing the functionality, or better to say the enhancing the internal logic, and make it ready for the actual end users. Once that is done, you can say like, okay, alpha beta testing is done, now we are in phase to deliver it to the end user or the client. Okay, now the client will pick into the picture or come into the picture, and will start doing one round of the testing of that application which is developed, and say like, okay, this is like as expected, and we can now deploy it in the on the server where client wants to, or whatever way he wants to receive that product or project or software, he can say. So this is the entire process of the acceptance testing, which is mainly done at the end, which is done by the user who is gonna give the confirmation. Okay. So now all kind of the testing, like functional part, like functional also, like black box testing we have covered. And if you guys have any doubt, you can say. So 2-3 terms I used which I have not discussed yesterday, like exploratory testing I said, and regression testing I said, and monkey testing is also one good term. So these three types of testing, I'll quickly touch what exactly it means. So we have covered functional testing like unit testing, integration system, and acceptance testing. In between, we used to do like smoke testing also, sanity testing also, regression testing also, exploratory testing also, and monkey testing also. So let me write it here. I think that is not that much important, but yeah, knowledge wise you should know what exactly it is. So smoke testing. Meanwhile, you guys can ask the question if you have any. Sanity testing and exploratory testing, monkey testing, that is also known as ad hoc testing, and regression testing. Okay, so these 4 or 5 terms you will be hearing if you are you are the part of the IT team. You will be hearing this like as a tester, smoke testing result, sanity testing, and how is the regression testing happening in the current project. So these are all the testings which we do. So what is meant by the smoke testing, like suppose the developer has created the software. So created the software means in the day-to-day life what we use term like build in the sense like build in the sense we have created the small the small project. A small project means the few feature of that requirement has already developed, and as a tester you can verify a specific feature, means that feature, whether that feature is working properly or not. Let's say the example of Gmail only, because we are taking this example only to understand all types of flow. So here also we'll take the same Gmail application. We have a login flow. After the authentication only, we can land on the home page and we can start using the functionality. So there, if you are entering your valid user ID and password, then only it will allow to land on the home page, right? So suppose that login feature and home page template has been created, and now developer wants user or the testers to test that feature only, and the other flows they will be developing later in the sense in the iteration mode. So they have created that feature and they want to deliver it to the tester for testing purpose. So they will create one build. Build means the space, the certain code which they have written. They will create, the jar, or better to say, the kind of a product which you can test. So this will also will act like a jar only, or act like a product only which we are downloading from the Play Store. Okay, but if we are downloading it from the Play Store, that means it is fully developed. But if we are just taking it from the developer, that means it is not fully developed. The certain or few features has been developed, and that is in forms of build. Build means like certain programs only created. So that build we will be taking, and we will start doing the testing of the login and the home page flow. Okay, so before accepting that build, what we have to do, we have to verify like whether that build is meeting my expectation or not. So what is the expectation? Like here the expectation is the valid user ID password should navigate to the home page. So testing wise, we can do the in-depth testing also. We have a multiple negative scenarios here. We'll give the username valid but password wrong, and we'll keep both the fields empty, and then we'll try to log in. We'll give only password and username I'll not give, or the email ID I'll not give, and try to log in. So multiple negative scenarios also we can test. But in terms of smoke testing, we'll only test a one positive flow, whether it is working or not. So what we'll do, once I'll get the build, I'll give the positive input. That means valid username, valid password, click on login button. If we are landing on the home page, that means it is working as expected. means we are gonna take this build for the further testing. Okay, so this testing confirmation we are getting from the smoke testing. So that's why smoke testing is also known as the build verification testing. So build verification testing means now the build is verified and we are gonna accept this build. So this is the smoke testing. Okay, what is sanity testing? Sanity testing is nothing but like suppose we have a few bugs and the developer has fixed that bug and given to you. Okay, so you just verified it and you are saying like, okay, this is fixed and it is working as expected. So you are just checking the high level things like only checking the bug which is fixed, but there might be the chance like that specific feature is dependent to others. Okay, others in the sense, definitely if there is a huge project, the small components will be dependent to each other, and the programming logic which we have written in the backend, that might impact like other lines of code also, right? So how you will be verifying like the fix of a specific bug is not impacting the other features also, right? So that kind of testing will come in the regression. But if we are checking only the fix bugs, we are just retesting the bugs and saying like it is working fine, that means we are doing the just sanity. Okay, and regression means we are going in depth and we are testing the bugs which is fixed as well as the dependent areas also, like if that bug is depending to some other feature or some other functionality, we'll test that as well to check like whether this bug this bug fix has impacted to that also or not. Whether that should not means that should not be break, it should not like I have fixed one bug that started working and the other feature is breaking, that should not happen, right? So that kind of verification we do in the regression testing. And sanity just the high level test of the fixed bug. Exploratory testing in the sense like suppose we have we have a requirement of the application or for a software we have started developing, and during that development phase you have to write the test cases also, because developer has started writing the code, and at the same time you have to write the test cases. So suppose if you don't have a much knowledge in that writing the test case, not in that application, so what you will do, you will start exploring that specific feature, like you will check with your team lead, check with your peers, or else you can google it also, like how this kind of features work and what might be the test cases. So you will start exploring that specific feature or functionality, and based on that you will start writing the cases. So exploratory testing, like the name defines, like it's kind of the exploration you are doing to build the test cases on which you can so you can rely in future and do your testing. Okay, monkey testing and ad hoc testing both are same. This is the kind of the random testing. So suppose if the time permits, like if you have a time, you have completed all kind of testing and now the project is in good shape to hand over to the client. So what you can do, you can start doing some random testing. So just for example, random in the sense like uh, what suppose you have a payment application. Okay, this time I'm taking some other example. Suppose you have a payment application and you want to transfer some amount to your friend, and you have already inserted like 100 not hundreds, let's more amount like 1000 amount. Okay, 1000 amount you want to transfer, you have already inserted the amount and you are clicking on the pay option. Okay, all the details you have already filled and you are clicking on the pay option. Suppose that application page is load like taking some time to load, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, or sometimes 4 seconds, and you are not aware. So as an end user, what you are doing, you are expecting like click is not happened and you are clicking 3 4 times, suppose. So 3 4 times you are clicking, and at the end what is happening, suppose there is a bug in the system or in the application, and it is considering like deduction of amount 3 4 times. Like instead of sending the 1000 amount, at the end you have sent 4000 amount, but this was not the intention, right? So what you will do, this is again like a kind of bad user experience, so it should not happen. So how the tester will ensure this kind of scenarios? Because at the time of testing, I have tested, just clicked in and checked like whether payment has happened or not. It was happened, that's why I said like, okay, it's working fine. Now if this kind of scenario will come, definitely the question will come on the testers, how you have tested, because this is not working perfectly, like it is breaking in production. So to ensure these kind of scenarios also, what we do some random kind of testing in our testing phase only. We only check this kind of scenarios, like just give the amount and click 3-4 times in the login button and check like how the functionality is. Again, this is not the kind of requirement given by the client. Client will not say like customer is gonna click 5 times or 10 times. It's our own experience or our understanding, like how we are taking the the scenarios and which kind of random testing we can perform. This was just one example. Okay. And like that multiple examples are there. We can do our analogy, and we can just check like whether the ad hoc kind of testing should not break the application. That means this kind of testing we mainly do to break the application, to check whether the application is going to break with this specific action or not. Okay. So this kind of testing is ad hoc testing. So yeah, these all kind of testing I have already covered. So now I'll just move to the white box testing. So before that, again, if you guys have any question for this black box testing, you can just ask, like whatever we discussed yesterday and today. Give me just confirmation yes or no so that I can move.
No questions.
No questions. No questions.
Okay. Okay, great. Luka, for you?
I have no question.
Okay. Great. Okay, we'll move to the white box testing. So yesterday, as we discussed, white box testing is nothing but the testing which is performed by the developer, because developer will have the code base access because they are only writing the code. So since the code is visible for them, we use the term white box. White box in the sense, obviously, if we are keeping something in the box and which is like mirror kind of thing, totally like a white box, and we can easily see it will be transparent, right? From the top, you can see like whatever we have kept inside. So the same kind of the means terminology is here. Like if the developer is writing the code, they will have the access. They can easily check the what the code they have written. So because this is visible for them, it is white box kind of testing. So in the white box testing, what they do like the unit testing. Whatever code they have written, whether that code is working as expected or not, they have to check first. Means just for example, if you're writing the any program, you have to check like whether that program is executing perfectly or not, right? Suppose yesterday I have taken the example of calculator. So if I am developing the calculator, if I'm writing the program in my local system, I have to ensure, right, like whether the program is working perfectly or not. If I'm giving the input like 5 or 7, whether it is adding 5 or 7 and giving me the result 12 or not. So that initial check is kind of the unit testing. Integration testing, obviously, one developer is not only available for the project. There will be multiple developers, right? Because there will be features of 4 5 count, right? And each developer will be working independently for modules. Like if the Gmail application they are developing, then one developer will work on the inbox, one will sandbox, one will be the compose section, but all will be linked together, because the person who is working in the sandbox item developing that module, they will have a dependency of like a compose, because once I will send the message from the compose, then only it will go to the sandbox, right? So if I am developing that feature, I have a dependency, so I have to depend on the code which is written for the compose module, right? So because of this dependency, the code might like overlap in the sense I am writing code in my local. I suppose Uka or Vinita is writing code in their local, and at the end, all code should be merged together, right? So I will have a one repository or one place, and where all the codes will go and combine together, merge together. So after merging that code should not break, right? My code should be compatible with the yours code. Okay, so that kind of check is nothing but the integration check, like whether my code is compatible with your code or not. It should not break at the end. Okay, so repo here I have used. Why? Because repo is nothing but the one tool which we use in our the day-to-day life. So that tool is Git. Not only Git, there are multiple tools like Bitbucket is there, Git is there, and you can keep it in Azure DevOps also. So we'll discuss like functionality of Git also, like few commands. We'll see how we do it at the end of like the entire entire session. We will be doing that also, what exactly that is. So that is the place where we keep our entire code, and that code should be in sync, and it should not give you the conflict at the end. Okay, now black box testing again, like whatever thing we have discussed till now, except white box, all are black box kind of testing. So since I have discussed, not touching this part because system UAT testing we have already covered, and that is again the part of the black box. Gray box testing is yesterday we have discussed what exactly the gray box testing is. So gray box is nothing but if we have a combination of black box and white box. Black box in the sense we are testing the functionality, whatever is developed by the developer. White box in the sense if you have a access of code base also, or just take it in that way, you are a software developer software developer role in the sense you have a role of SDET. You are testing the functionality as well as you are developing a few like a framework to test that feature. Okay, so here what you will have the functionality knowledge as well as you will have the code knowledge also. You are using some code like Java, Python, or JavaScript, anything you are using, you are creating your framework, you are testing the feature. So in that way, you will have a knowledge of code also, you will have a knowledge of functionality also, GUI also, right? So the same way, if you have a knowledge of functionality and you understand the code base also, you have a visibility of the backend code also, you can perform the some kind of testing, which is the gray box. So here we have taken the example of database again, like database is nothing but the backbone of our backend testing, right? Because all the data which is flowing through the API and all, we used to store in the backend database. So as a tester, obviously you should have access of the database to test the the data flow, because the integration testing which we were discussing like yesterday also, we discussed today also. So what actually happens there, the data flows from one module to other module. So how you will be ensuring that if the data flow is happening perfectly? Obviously the database will be the source, because database is something who will take the the user input and will going to store in some table, and from that table other module is gonna fetch, right? So database is the source who will tell like, okay, data is coming properly and getting stored in the table. So that kind of testing comes under the gray box testing. Okay, now we'll come to the performance testing again, like yesterday we discussed functional testing, non-functional testing. Whatever we are discussed now till now all comes under the functional testing. Now we'll jump on the non-functional testing part. So non-functional testing means functionality is not gonna impact because of this. Okay, so functional testing will tells about the functionality part, and non-functional testing is not related to the functionality part. Okay, performance testing will not tell you like whether the functionality is working as expected or not. It will tell you like how is the performance of a specific software. Okay, before touching this point, I would like to listen from you guys. What is meant by the performance? Means if I'm saying like performance testing is going on, what like better to say like what comes in your mind with that term performance testing, why we used to do or why we need to do it? Any idea? Try to speak, it's okay. If you are not aware also, if little bit idea also, it's fine for me, but at least speak something.
Not sure.
Okay, others? Okay, great. So okay, just leave the part software. So if anything we purchase, okay, so from the market, if you are going to purchase, suppose you know the what suppose water bottle you are purchasing from the market. Okay, will you directly purchase it? Means if you will go to market and will purchase it, you will bring it to home directly, or you will be doing some kind of test there, like whether the bottle is having the good plastic material or not. Okay, you will open the the cap and will see like whether the any kind of the defect in the sense like if the bottle is cracked from somewhere or not. And if suppose you are pressing the bottle and we are checking like material is good or not. Okay, it should not crack in between if we are pressing some load. And that kind of checks you will do, because suppose if you are bringing it at your home and it is putting down from somewhere, from from certain height, it should not break if it is made of plastic. Okay, so these things we checks generally, right? So this is nothing but the kind of performance we are testing, like how it is performing in certain state or with the certain the user action. If this is the scenario, how the bottle will perform. So why we used to do this kind of test? Because we are putting some amount, definitely it should work as expected, right? Same expectation happens from the software side also. If I am a client and I have given you the requirement, definitely at the end it should work as expected, not only the functionality wise, because at the end multiple users will be using it, right? And that system should not break while using the multiple users. So if one or two users are using, because you are the suppose you are a client and you have uh, got the software from the company and you are only the user, that is fine, then so I think it will not be impacted much. But if you have the user like sorry, you if you have the software like Amazon, so there actually I think in a second there will be thousands of users who will be hitting that application, or who will be approaching that application to buy something. So that application should not go down, because I think you guys would have heard like Facebook or YouTube, if this kind of application goes down for a second or for a couple of seconds, like lakhs or millions of the amount it's going to lose by the company, because there are multiple users, there are the lakhs of users who are using that application. So it's very difficult to put it in a down phase for a certain amount of time, right? So to ensure that whether that is not happening, we used to do the performance testing. Okay, how the performance of that application. So suppose if I am building the Amazon application, how I will be doing the performance testing? I will increase the load. Here load is nothing but the number of users. Okay, this is all the virtual users. I will create the dummy users and I will try to hit that application at once. If I have a suppose I have a thousands of user, I'm hitting that application you know at the same time. And if I'm checking like whether my application is able to perform as expected or not. Okay, if I'm increasing the load, suppose if this second I have like I have 1,000 of users, next second I have 10,000 users, again next second I have a 20,000 users. So in that way we are increasing the the stress means nothing but the number of users we are increasing in certain period of time, and we are checking how my application is behaving. It should not go down, or application should not crash. This kind of testing we have to do, because again, end user matters. If they are only not satisfying with the application, there is no meaning to keep it, right? And again, like volume testing, so these load testing, stress, volume, scalability testing, all kind of testing is nothing but related to performance, who tells you like how the performance of an application when multiple users is going to use, how your application will behave. Okay, so this is important in terms of non-functional testing. Now, security testing. Obviously, security is also a major concern, because if suppose you are using the Facebook application or any message application where you are sharing your message with your close one, right? And suppose if there is no any proper security in that app, and anyone can access it and anyone can install your data, so it's gonna again create the bad impact. Because in some application it is fine, like if your data is going to share with someone, it will not impact much. But suppose you are using the payment application where you have all your details, all your bank details, and that application is does not have sorry, that application does not have a much security. So what is going to happen at the end? At the end, your data is going to stolen by someone and they can misuse it, right? So that kind of checks also we have to do before handing over the application to the client or to the end users. And banking application and payment applications is one of the best example of this kind of testing, because the security is very high there and we have to check. Okay, so different types of testing we used to do for the security, like authentication, access control, encryption, decryption. Why? Because authentication, again, like if you are the valid user, if you have a proper account, then only you should access the GUI of the application and should access their data. Because this authentication is why required, because suppose if you have a payment history, and if you have done the payment earlier, if you have already added your details, next time if you will open the app, it will not ask those details, right? Because that is already added in the database with your name or with your credential. Second time if you will log in with the same credential, that will again go to the database and check whether this user is already there in my system or not. If it is already there, all the details related to that user will be going to share. Going to share in the sense it will be visible on your GUI or on your application. Okay, so this is kind of the authentication we used to perform. We have to check, because what if I am logging with my account and it is showing your data. So again, this is not the proper authentication happened, like others data should not be shared to the other person. Valid user only can see, right? So that checks we need to do. Access control, again, like same thing, like if you have a proper access, then only you can check your data. Or else if you are, sometimes what happens, like the application is not like live, the session is expired and it is asking again for the login, and that time you are giving the wrong password. Suppose you have forgotten your password and you are giving the wrong password. What happens that time? It will not allow you to land on the home page, because you don't have access until means you don't have access, because they are expecting like there should be the proper credential, then only you are the valid user. So that kind of checks also we used to test during our testing phase. Encryption, it is very much important, because sometimes means some application, if you will see like a messaging application, they used to give the surety like we are also not checking your data, like what exactly you are sending to your friends. Suppose in the message application we used to send few messages to our colleagues, to our friends. That message we are expecting should not be read by others. So application owners also tells the same, like we are not going to read this because we are performing this encryption or decryption logic. So what exactly this logic is? Suppose if you are writing something, okay, if you are writing something like how are you in your message application, okay, and if you are sending, so it will again reach to the end user. Suppose Tori is sending to me, so Tori will write like how are you, and it will come or it will appear to me like how are you. Okay, but in between the encryption will happen or decryption will happen. So what actually will happen, your Tori will type this and it will be encrypted like something. Okay, or it happens like in the boolean value, like it will be like, sorry, 01, it will be like something this. Okay, it will again travel between Tori to me like this. It will encrypt this, it encrypt by this, and it will come to me. Before reaching to my GUI, it will be same only. Whatever he has sent, same thing will come, and before reaching to me, it will again decrypt. So it is encrypted from the Tori's end, and again before reaching to me, it will decrypt, and after decrypting again it will come like a how are you. So I am getting this how are you message, Tori is sending how are you, but in between it is encrypted and decrypted. So why this logic is important, because if suppose security testing is not done properly, or there is some vulnerability, like vulnerability in the sense like someone can steal your data very easily. So once they will steal also, like what they will be saying after stolen also, it will, and it will appear like this 01 form. So they will not be understanding like what exactly this message is. So this is nothing but the kind of security we used to provide. And all kind of the message apps and payment apps, they also keep your data security like that only. So it is also very important to check. So again, the question should come in your mind while testing the feature, how this encryption decryption is happening in the backend, how we are gonna ensure. Because obviously you will have the GUI access, you will just see like, okay, message is coming properly or not. But in between, how it happened encryption, how it converting into the Boolean form, how we are gonna check. So for that only we have a APIs. Okay, this is the application programming interface where we can check like how this encryption is happening, decryption is happening, and we will be having API logs. So how to check? Again, this will be the part of the further session. I will tell you like how the API testing happens to check the backend kind of backend kind of the scenarios and backend kind of features. Okay, so this encryption decryption again the part of the backend testing, which is nothing but the API testing. Okay, so I hope this performance and security testing is clear to you guys, because this is very important. And if you are attending any interview, definitely it's gonna asked by the interviewer like what is security and performance testing and how we do. Okay, is it clear? Right, clear for you guys?
Yeah, it's clear. Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, great. Okay, fine, we'll move to next slide here. So next slide is compatibility testing. Okay, compatibility, again yesterday I also touched this point. Like compatibility means if we have some product which we have already created. Okay, so here product in the sense build means internally developer has created one feature and give it they have given to the tester, test this feature. Okay, again in the first iteration in the sense in the first phase, I got the feature only home page and login page, and I have tested that. Second phase, again they are gonna implement few more feature. Okay, in case of Gmail application, suppose they have given you the login application, or they have given you the login and home page feature, and in the second release they are gonna insert few more modules. Suppose compose module, inbox module, they are gonna implement. Okay, so in the second phase, once we are getting the build, what we have to verify, the initial drop, like the previous drop was having, wait, I'll just type here, that will be clear. So what I'm saying, suppose build one is having the login page plus home page. Okay, so this two is gonna come in a first build, and that is iteration one. Okay, now this is given from the dev end and from the developer end, and we are gonna test it. Suppose it is working as expected, login and home page functionality is working fine. Now what is coming, build 2 will again come with the feature like I'm taking the example of Gmail application. So compose, let me take a login first, login page and compose. This two feature is coming in the iteration 2. Okay, so now once I'll get this build iteration 2 means build 2, I have to test mainly, I have to focus login page and compose page feature, and that two modules should work properly. But it doesn't mean like this first build like login page and home page should not work as expected in the build 2. So if we are receiving the build 2, we have to ensure as a tester the initial features which is already developed should work as expected in this build also. So this build will be the combination of login page, home page, plus our compose and the sandbox. Okay, sorry, I have here by mistake I mentioned the login page. So second build will contain the compose and the inbox. So in the build 2, I have to ensure everything which is given to the first build and the second build. So like that compatibility we are checking whether my current build code is compatible with the previous code or not. So development wise, this is the integration testing which they are doing, and in the testing we are also doing the integration testing whether this is properly integrated to each other or not. Okay, so how the testing will happen here? In the first build we will do the kind of testing to provide the valid username and password, and we'll check whether we are landing on the home page or not. And second build, what we are testing, we are again like in the second build we cannot directly test login page and home page. Now first we have to log in to the application. Without login we can't test. It means without login this compose feature will not be visible. So anyhow we have to log in first. That means we are dependent on the build 1. We have to verify it, and then only we have to start with the build 2. So this is the integration or the compatibility checks. Okay, and this is not only one point we have to keep in our mind. We do the certain kind of testing also in the compatibility, and this is like suppose if Vinita is testing the one application, and the testing wise the configuration of the hardware was different, means operating system, suppose for me operating system is Mac suppose, and for you operating system is Ubuntu or suppose some window, and the configuration wise, hardware configuration wise, I am using some different RAM configurations and all, you are using some different, and it might happen like it is working in my system and it is breaking in your system. Okay, so that time we have to check like, okay, which configuration I am using and which configuration you are using. Okay, if that is not meeting, then there is highly possible chances there is some configuration mismatch, and it is totally dependent on that. But application should not be like that. Application should work in any configuration, any browser smoothly. Okay, so that kind of test also we have to do. Browser, again, if I am testing the application in the Safari, and if you are using Windows and you are using the Chrome browser, in if it is not working for me, working for you, that means it is not compatible with the Safari browser. So this kind of testing will tell you like how is the compatibility of my software. Okay, so this kind of testing we have to do. So we have to do the testing on the multiple platforms, and while raising the bug as a tester, it is very important to mention all these points where you have tested, what was the configuration, mainly what was the browser name where you have tested, what was the operating system, so that developer will come to know like, okay, this is the specific configuration which tester has used, and they can also reproduce it very quickly. Okay, and again forward backward in the sense like if we are developing further features that should be compatible with the backward features. Okay, and this term also comes when the release happens. Okay, so release happens in the sense, again very small example, suppose in the uh, Amazon application, suppose in the Amazon application in the previously suppose there was no any feature of giving the reward points. I'm just taking the example. It's not like it's a current feature or it is happening now. So just taking the example, suppose earlier we were not getting any reward point. Okay, and till previous release, all the features were working very smoothly. And in the current release, like in the next release, we are planning to add this feature. Okay, so if I'm adding this feature, I have to verify this feature with the previous feature also. Means the user, suppose user has not updated the Amazon application and that user is using the previous older version of the application. That means they will not be seeing some feature because some features I have added in the current release. So that user also should use the application as expected. And if I am using the current version or the latest version, I should also able to access the application in a perfect manner. That means the compatibility should not break. Forward, backward compatibility should be there, and each and every user should able to use the application whether they are using the previous version of the application or the current version of the application. This kind of checks are nothing but the compatibility test. Okay, find the usability testing. Usability testing is, again, usability is the very important term. Yesterday also I touched, like very high level idea I have given. Usability is the user, from the user end, what user is thinking for the application. Like suppose if I'm gonna use any application, what I will see, like whether that application is this application is fulfill my purpose or not. Suppose if I'm using any gaming application, I will have a certain things in my mind, like I will be checking that certain things in that application. If that meets, I will say like, okay, this is very good gaming app. Okay, suppose if I'm using the some chatting application, I will try to attach multiple attachment. I will try to send emojis. I will try to send some messages. Okay, and I will check like whether the communication is happening, properly or not. If everything is there, video calling facility is there, normal call, voice call, everything is there, I will say like this is very good app. Okay, and not only this, after this I will be checking like the icons which is already used. Okay, so just take the small example. What if like I have used the icon of that application, very huge icon, in the sense, suppose if I'm using any icon, suppose I'm using any app, like suppose MS app. This is one app, suppose for the chatting I'm using MS. Okay, and this is having the very small pixel, and it is not visible properly to the user. Again it will impact, again it will not impact good on the users, right? If I'm using capital MS and it is like very huge pixel, like in your mobile it will come like, suppose half of your screen will covered by this, again it's not a very good user experience. So we have to not only in the functional part, like functional is the one one aspect which we have to think, but a part of it, non-functional thing is also the major part of the software. And this icon usability testing, each and everything is the very crucial part of the software. We have to test everything. Okay, icon is proper, text is proper. Okay, and suppose we have a login feature, and for login we have for login we have not given the text login, and by mistaken we have given the text like sign up. So suppose sign up means it's a we are using it for the registration. Login means we have already logged in, user means we have already registered. Now I'm trying to log in. So what if I will give the name of login button as a sign up? Again, it's a miscommunication, because user will think like, I have already registered, why it is again asking me sign up, right? So again, this kind of checks is also important to get the good user experience, right? So this is the usability testing, means how user is going to use the application, what their thinking will be, and assuming all that, as a tester you have to test those. Okay, so that is the usability. And again, exploratory vibe coming here, because exploratory means you have to explore the market, the user feedback on the applications, how they are checking the apps, and what is their feedback, what they are expecting. Based on that you can test the features, right? Because if user are liking the product, they will have a genuine, the review. This is the product, this is the very good product, what I have liked, these things I have liked. So as a tester, that will act as a key point to test the further features. Cross browser, as I said, like if it is working in Safari, not working in Chrome, again, this will be, the bad impact for the end user, because all the users will use Chrome browser. This is not possible. All the user will use the Firefox. This is also not going to happen, right? Different users might have the different browser, different, the operating system. They can use anything. So we have to test like it should work in each and every browser. Okay, one question should come here, like how the tester will ensure, because there are a lot of browsers, means I have to test in IE also, Firefox also, Safari also, how I will ensure. So this is again the part of the requirement, which is mentioned already in the requirement by the client. So this is also the part of the requirement shared by the client only is going to say like, hey, this application should work in so and so platform. And while releasing this application, and suppose if I'm releasing this application on the Play Store, I will also mention like this application description is like this application should work only for Chrome, only for Firefox, so that end user will be knowing like, okay, this is only for this specific browser. So in that way, the user experience will not be bad, because we have already communicated. So that kind of things we have to take in mind. Okay, now some important terminologies I will try to touch here. So as of now, I said like writing the test cases. That means writing test cases is very important for the tester, because if I will not have a test case, there might be the chance we are not able to perform the good kind of quality software testing. Okay, so I think it will good if I'll ask the same question to you guys. Suppose if I don't have a test cases, what if I will not have a test cases, why this is required first, and how it's gonna impact our day-to-day testing. If I have a build, don't have a test cases, will I be, as a tester, will I be able to test properly? If not, why? And what is need of the test case? Anyone can speak, like whatever. I think you guys will have a answer, because you guys are a part of past two classes.
I think we'll be able to test the application because we're working on a build, daily builds, and we can use the smoke and sanity and ad hoc and these types of techniques without the test cases.
Great. So you're saying like we can test it, but
Yes.
testing is fine. But what if we don't have, means why we should have the test cases? If we don't have a test cases, what kind of the things might happen in between your testing? Why it is required?
I'm not sure what could happen.
Okay.
We're just
Other?
selecting for
Yeah.
the smoke and the sanity. Yes, we're selecting parts of the test cases.
We are selecting the test cases for that. I'm agree with this, but you are saying like if that test case is not there, still I will be able to test it, right? Then why we are expending so much time to write the cases? Directly we can start and we can start the testing and complete it.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Others like Tori, Yuka, any idea why we need test cases? No, right? No, yes, anything? Yes.
So test cases helps us to describe what we need to test. So it helps us to create a scenario of all the functionalities we need to test. So yeah, that's actually what I would say. So it also helps as a guide to what we need to test exactly. Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Okay, great. Fine. You guys said correctly only, like for what Vinita said, like okay, it is important, but we can test without test cases also. And what Yuka said, like okay, it is important, and some scenarios like odd scenarios we can also test if we have already written somewhere. Like both is correct, but again the question will come like if we can test means these odd scenarios also we can test if we have a knowledge of the product, because we are only writing the test cases. If I will not write directly, I will test, that is also fine. But question comes like why this is important. So I'll tell the main use of this. So why it is important, because in a project, suppose today Vinita is working in a project and she has not written the test cases and directly started using the software and testing it whatever knowledge she has, right? What will happen at the end? What if like after 1 year the some good opportunity came and now she's not the part of this project, some other some other people will come again, that means that guy will not be wearing this project much, right? There should be someone who will give each and everything, like everything KT and the flow wise understanding. And it's very difficult like to understand without the test cases, because if we have a test cases we can go through. And what if release is going to happen and in between like some employee left the company, at that time so we can't hire someone and will say like okay, sit and write test cases. Okay, so this test case will help to the new joinees or to others who is coming in our project recently and trying to understand the project. And second thing, like suppose as of now I said like a few applications, but suppose we have an application which is already the developed, like half of the software developed, we have thousands of scenarios. So each and everything we can't keep in our mind, right? During testing initial one or two build, it is very easy to understand because we have a 2 3 flows. But what if we have a multiple flows and we are touching each and everything during our testing phase? So it is difficult. Now we can miss few things in between. So just make sure like we have touched everything and we have not missed a single scenario, single test case in our flow. Better to write it down somewhere and follow that during your testing cycle. Okay, so this is the main use case of the cases which will help you in day-to-day testing process. Okay, so use case, these are all the terms: use case, test scenarios, test case, test script. So what exactly the meaning of it? Use case, again the requirement means suppose if I'm a client, I will give you the requirement that will be in terms of use case. Okay, use case means my use case is there should be an application which should expect only the mobile number, not email ID. Okay, so this is one use case. Second thing, like password length should not be more than 10. As a client, I'm saying like I need an application where only mobile number should be acceptable and password length should not be more than 10. So these are all the use cases which is kind of requirement and shared by the client. Again, test scenarios is the high level scenarios. Okay, just test case and test scenarios, people used to get confused because this seems like similar only. So test scenario is the high level understanding of flow. Suppose if I'll take the example of the Gmail application, if I will tell you test the uh, uh, user flow where we are sending the message to the next user. Okay, or yeah, or 1 minute, just 1 minute. Huh. Oh, yeah, so what I was saying, like here in the test scenarios, what we can say in the Gmail application, suppose if I'm saying test send items checks flow. Okay, okay, So here if I'm sending like if I'm sharing like test send item checks flow, this is the scenario means is the high level understanding, like what I have to do. I have to test the send item feature. But again, in the send item feature there will be the multiple cases, like I can try to send the message with the attachment. I can try to send the attachment, sorry, I can try to send the message without attachment. I can try to send the message with multiple attachment, with video attachment, right? So these things are nothing but our test cases. So test scenario is the high level understanding, like it will be one liner description, but inside that there will be the test cases which will be like more descriptive manner, like okay, I have to test like the send message feature with attachment of a video, of one video, attachment of multiple videos with one img file. Okay, all these small cases will come as a test case, and scenario is the high level flow which I have to test. So don't be confused with these terms. Scenario is just the high level what to test. Test case means it is the like in depth, which are all points we have to cover. Okay, everything we are checking one by one. Test script, again, this is kind like if you are automation engineer and if you are writing test cases. Okay, writing test case in the sense whatever I have tested manually, everything I want to automate. Okay, I am not gonna sit and do everything all the time. My script will work as a like virtual user, means I will just click the run button and everything will happen automatically. So that is nothing but the script. If you are converting your test case in the code form, okay, using some programming language, it will come as a test script. Okay, test data is few data is required during our testing. Just for example, if I'm saying like test the login feature, you need a proper email id, proper password, valid email id and valid password, right? So this is nothing but the test data, or better to say the prerequisite. Okay, this is the prerequisite to test the any application, right? So test data is something which will help during your testing. Without that you can't test the application. Test plan is very important. Before starting your testing, we should have a proper test plan in the sense how many users is gonna involve, means how many user in the sense how many testers will be the part of the entire software life cycle, and who is going to work on which feature, what will be the timeline, and what if that people will not be available for certain time, who is going to take care of that task. That is nothing but the kind of risk and mitigation. We say like if that risk will come, there should be the someone who should be available to take the task. That also we have to analyze in the beginning only, so that we can give the correct timeline, and yeah, correct timeline, the correct plan to the, we can share it to the user, to the end user. And test strategy is the part of plan only, because test plan is the high level agenda, like we are setting it for a project. And test strategy is that might change your strategy, like now I am working as a as a tester 8 hours in a day, and my plan is to cover like uh, 50 or 60 test cases every day, and these are all the features I have to test. I have to do the functional testing. If more than one module, I have to do the integration also. Okay, so these small strategy we have to build it from the beginning, so that we can follow it through our testing cycle, and we are giving the surety that okay, in the certain time, in the certain time span only, we will be able to complete it, and it will not extend our the entire duration. So this is also a main part of the agile methodology. In agile, we will be having the clear understanding how much time it's gonna take, because it's a iterative manner, means iterative process, and each iteration will have a max to max 15 days time. Okay, so that is nothing but a sprint. So I will tell you what is the sprint and all once we'll jump to the tool part like Jira. 1 minute, guys. I'll have some water. Yeah, sorry. So once we'll jump to the tool part like Jira, we will be discussing all these terminologies. What is a sprint? What is backlog? What is epic? Okay, we will be discussing there. So here test data we have discussed, test plan we have discussed, and test suite. Test suite is nothing but collection of our test cases, because this is nothing but the repository. Okay, if suppose Uka is writing the test case for the login feature, Vinita is writing the test case for a compose feature, Tori is writing the test case for the send item feature, all the test case should not be in their local, right? It should be at some place where management can access and check, like, okay, how many cases we have, how many time we need to, execute all the cases once the release is planned. Okay, accordingly they can give the bandwidth to the higher management. So this test suite will act as a repo where we are keeping all our test cases. Okay, now this priority and severity, this is very important term. So before that, I will ensure like each and everything till now I have covered is clear, you guys, because this is very important topic, and this topic you will understand if you have a good understanding of all the topics till now. Shall I proceed or any doubt you guys have?
No, not at the moment.
No, not at the moment.
Okay, thanks for confirmation. Great. So okay, I'll touch this part, priority severity. So yesterday I was saying, like, if we have a multiple bugs, like if we have a count of bugs like 50 or 100, how the developer will come to know which part I have to, sorry, which bug I have to, consider as a first priority. How I means they can fix like easier bugs first, whatever is easy, whatever is there like easy fixes applicable, they can fix it and they can move further, and the toughest part they can keep it at the end. Okay, so that might also be the chance. So tester is a guy who can give the priority of the bugs. If there are 10 bugs, this is the sequence in which you should pick, because tester knows like how the feature should work, right? Because they have a good understanding, and this feature is impacting the functional, sorry, this bug is impacting the functionality of the application. Okay, so they know about the priority and they can set the priority of any bug. And severity means if that bug is gonna if that bug is gonna impact the feature of the software badly, then the severity should be high. So priority is nothing but how quickly the bug should be fixed by the dev. Severity means how critical that bug is, or how this bug is gonna impact the business. Okay, so if functionality is breaking and business is gonna impact, then the severity comes into the picture. And once we have to give the clarity to the dev, like how the the process of bug fixes should happen, what should be the sequence, then priority comes. Okay, and if you will see here, priority describe the importance of defects, obviously, like which bug developer should pick first. Severity is nothing but it's a seriousness of defect, like how critical, how serious of this bug is, and how this can impact our business, entire business. So that tells this tells about that. So you can see like high, medium, low, these three are the priority level. So if you are creating the bug, you have to mention this: what is the priority of the bug, what is the severity of the bug. Okay, and here in the severity you can mention one more point here, like a blocker. So here you are seeing critical, high, medium, low. One more severity you can answer like a blocker in the sense you are totally stopped and you are not able to proceed. Okay, just for example, like if in the Gmail application login is only not working, okay, it is breaking, like if even you are giving the valid user ID and password, but it is not landing you to the home page. Okay, some bug is there. So that means what? You can't test the compose, you can't test send scan feature, you can't test the inbox, because for all these you need a login, right? So this is totally blocker for you. So you will raise the bug with the severity blocker. Okay, critical means again like it's not a blocker, but the major part is failing. Major part of the application is failing. Okay, and high, medium, low is again like this is the sequence: blocker, and then critical, then high, then medium, then low. Okay, what exactly this priority severity combination is, I'm gonna take in the next slide. Okay, so there might be like different combinations. Priority severity, you should think like in that way. There should be 4 scenario. First is like high severity and low priority. S means severity, P means priority. Okay, and high severity, low priority you can mention, and low severity, high priority you can mention, or low severity, low priority you can mention, or high severity, high priority you can mention. Okay, so this is the 4. Yeah, this is the 4. Yeah, came here. This is the 4 different the scenarios which might occur. So there should be proper justification of your the for the bugs, like why it is high severity, low priority. Blindly we can't say like this bug is high priority or low severity, or high priority, high severity. We can't say. We should have the clear understanding of each and everything here. Okay, each bug will have this like severity and priority, each bug will be having. So I'll give the example of each, like high priority, high severity, low priority, low severity. And please keep in your mind, like when I'm saying high priority, high severity, or any one of these 4, what is the meaning and on what basis we are categorizing. So I'll keep all this. I'll keep the example of all 4, and then we'll wrap up for today. Okay. So high severity, high low priority. So we'll start with the first, this high severity, high priority. So suppose if I'm saying any bug is having high priority, high severity tag, what does it mean? Okay, so just take the example of any shopping application. So you can take the example of Amazon also. So in Amazon, suppose I am adding few products in the cart. Okay, I have added 3-4 products, and I'm going to the cart page, and I'm seeing like that products are not visible there. Okay, I am successfully able to search the product, I am successfully able to add the product, but that products are not available on the cart. It is not visible. Now say like whether this bug is like high severity or low severity. So how you will decide now? So if you have a clear understanding of the project, then only you can decide. So whenever this kind of situation comes, just ask one question like from yourself: what is the main purpose of this application? Amazon application main purpose is what? To sell the product to the end user, right? Or user should be able to place the order successfully. Okay, what is the main purpose of payment application? Payment should happen, like a transaction should happen successfully. What is the main feature of the Gmail application? Communication happen should properly, user should able to send the mail. So this is the main core functionality. So you should always know the core feature of any application. So in Amazon, product delivery is the main feature. Product should be delivered successfully, but here what is happening, we are not able to add the product in the card. That means the main feature only is not working, for which this entire app is built, right? That means the business is gonna impact with this. That is nothing but the high severity, because highly impact will be there. Lakhs of user will not be able to place order because of this, and the business loss will be there. So since it is again creating the problem for the business, this is the high severity bug. Now this kind of bug should fixed by the developer very quickly, because the priority is very high, because the end users are not gonna place any order, and our business is gonna impact very much. so that this kind of bugs should be fixed very quickly. That means the priority is high. So high severity, high priority bug is nothing but the shopping cart. You can say like any shopping cart, sorry, any shopping application you are using, and there you are trying to add the application in the, so try to add the order in the cart, and if it is not happening, this is the kind of high severity and high priority bug. Okay, I want to highlight like this is the most important interview question. If you are attending any functional testing or the SDAT interview, if the interviewer will ask the questions from the functional part, definitely this question will be there like give me the one example of these four: high severity, low priority, or low severity, high priority. So better to note down this example, and so that you will try to give the answer properly during the interview. So high severity, high priority bug means any shopping cart where we are trying to add the cart, but we are not able to add because of some bug. Okay. Second, I will touch low severity, high priority. Low severity in the sense business, low severity means business should not be impact much. High priority means still developer should fix first. Okay. What kind of example that is? Like suppose, how many of you used ATM? I think most everyone, right? Like ATM have used by the everyone, right? Yeah.
No.
So you have not used ATM?
I've used
Oh,
it
ATM.
once.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, ATM, this I'm saying. Okay, so suppose if you are trying to use your, you are trying to use your debit card and want to, take out some amount, and meanwhile, like you have a requirement of some personal loan. Suppose if you want to take some personal loan, and you are trying to reach out the bank, and meanwhile you are just visiting the ATM also, and you are trying to take out some amount. The same time, if you would have observed earlier, the screen of the or GUI of the ATM will try to show some messages every time. Sometimes like suppose any bank, XYZ bank is there, and that bank is giving the personal loan with the rate of interest something like suppose 10.5. So that ATM will also reflect the same, like personal loan rate is like ROI is 10.5. If you are interested, can visit the bank. Okay. So suppose at that time you have seen that message, and message was saying like 10.5 ROI personal loan is available, and that time the requirement of loan also was there. So what you will think like, okay, I will visit this bank and will try to take the personal loan with this ROI. You will just visit the bank, and there you are trying to say like, hey, I have seen this the message which was populating on one of the same bank ATM. 10.5 is the ROI for the personal loan, and I need this much amount. Okay, that time you suppose that time you have visited, and you came to know like it is not 10.5, it is 12.5. Then now tell me like what will be your thought. Definitely you will be thinking like, hey, in your ATM you are means on the ATM screen it is showing like 10.5, now you are saying 12.5, why 2.5 is more? Okay, then that guy will say like, no, it will be 12.5 only, might be there will be some glitch or there will be some issue on that specific the ATM machine, that's why it was not reading this. Okay, then what might happen here? So suppose in ATM also there is the code only, right? In the backend we have written some code, based on that it is fetching your user details and populating on the screen. Once you will insert your card, you or give your password, that what will happen, it will show you your balance also, your name also, everything will be there. So how it's happening, there will be code inside that we have built, and based on that it is acting, right? So what might happen here? Yeah, so what might happen, the first digit is fine, second digit like 0, here it is always taking 0, whatever we are mentioning. If rate of interest is 13.5, then also it is coming 10.5. If it is 14.5, then also it is coming 10.5 on the screen. That means the second digit is not getting read by the machine properly, and it is always showing the default value 0. Again, this is not gonna impact on the ATM machine, because anyhow we are able to withdraw the amount, but it is gonna impact the end user, because as I said, user went to the bank and user tried to take the loan. Okay, if the user will come to know, no, it's 12.5, he will get disappointed and he might not, in the mood to take the loan. Okay, we are losing our customer in that way. They might go to the other bank and try to take the loan, right? So again, the impact will be very less, because again, impact is less means ATM machine will work as expected, amount withdrawal will be happening there, but again, it should not create the bad impact to the user. It should be fixed immediately, right? So what I said, low severity means it is not going to impact the functionality of that ATM machine. High priority means since it is affecting our end user, creating the bad impact, it should be fixed first. So it is the example of low severity, high priority. So the ATM machine, the message populating on the screen should be very meaningful, very correct, so that user should be acting as expected. Okay, so this is the example of low severity, high priority. Okay, I think it's already. I'll just take one more example of low priority, low severity, and we'll keep this high priority, high severity, low priority for next class. So low severity, low priority, I will touch. It's very small example. So what is low severity, low priority? If suppose in the beginning I said, if I have any application and if I have a terms and condition, section there, if we have missed any, the small word, or suppose if any word is not correct. Okay, so suppose. Okay, so suppose instead of this is good application for payment. Okay, so suppose instead of this is good application for payment, it is mentioned like it is God application for payment in the terms and conditions. So again, this is a small mistake. We can just immediately put like here O in our code and we can push it. But since is a very it's a very small issue and people rarely go in the terms and condition and read everything, right? And it's not again impacting our functionality of the software. This is a very low kind of priority bug. Developer can pick this at the end. Okay, and severity also very low, because again no business impact will be there because of this small spelling mistake. Okay, but you have to take care. I'm saying like on terms and condition page, this mistake is acceptable, not on the home page. We are putting the sign up for the login. This is gonna impact very high. Okay, so you have to think in that way. Like I'm saying, terms and condition mistakes is acceptable because people are visiting rarely there, but on the home page and login page, which is very important for any application, and people will be using that frequently whenever they are using the application, this small mistake should not be there. Okay, so I have covered high severity, high priority bug. This is the shopping cart problem. And low severity, high priority bug, ATM machine example. Low severity, low priority bug, this is the terms and condition example. High severity, low priority will touch in the next session. So yeah, that's all for today. And I hope this session was very interesting. And if you guys have any question, you can clearly ask now.
I like it actually.
Okay, great. Fine, that's all for today. And I think this PPT is already shared with you guys. You guys can go through. Recordings are also there. Yesterday and today's recording you can go through, and anywhere if you are feeling difficulty or you are stucking, we'll be here to help. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Bye.